Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is an absolutely fascinating album, and it comes at that point in Elton's career where he went from being a star to a superstar. You have to look, this was 1973, and you look at the amount of work he'd done in a very short space of time. This was his 7th album, and his first album came out in 1969, and he'd also done a live album and a soundtrack album. He'd started to get success in the UK the year previously on a grand scale, after becoming a big success in America in 1970, where they took to him sort of almost immediately. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is fascinating because it was made very, very quickly. When you think it's a 17-track double album, and it was made in little over 2 weeks. And when you think it includes songs like Benny and the Jets, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, the title track, and of course Candle in the Wind, that's really no mean feat. And I think one of the things that really strikes you about Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is the artwork, and the cover is one of the sort of iconic images of the 20th century, really. And I think it sort of marked that point where Elton, you know, made that transition from just being the pop star to the superstar. I mean, it's really interesting because the album is obsessed with cinema, and you have to sort of put in mind that this is sort of 1973, and you know, the cinema was the only way you could really see films, and then they went on telly sort of 4 or 5 years after. There weren't videos, there weren't DVDs, there weren't Netflix, etc. And it's an album sort of that draws very heavily on cinematic references, and of course the Yellow Brick Road from the 1939 film The Wizard of Oz is pictured there, and obviously that's suggesting it's heading to some form of nirvana. And he's stepping out of the world. It's like a poster site, it's an urban pavement, and then he's going into this sort of place of calm and tranquilness. And of course you see the classic look of Elton at that point, the satin jacket, the glasses hadn't got sort of too outrageous, and the platform boots. Ian Beck did this illustration, and it's become sort of probably one of the most iconic in pop music. One of the key parts of this project has been the cover versions by new artists, the Yellow Brick Road Revisited. And when you have artists like John Grant choosing songs like Sweet Painted Lady, or Miguel doing Benny and the Jets, you know, there is a real sort of connection with these artists who grew up hearing this record. And, you know, it was a staple in parents' record collections. And I think you listen to it, and the sort of simplicity and directness is timeless. And like Ed Sheeran, who does Candle in the Wind on the album, you know, Ed's in his early 20s, and, you know, he remembers hearing it right from, you know, the start, if you like. And you have to say you can make definite connections with his music and the simple directness of it and the work that Elton was doing there. So I think it's the sort of record that, whereas some 70s albums are sort of stuck in a time capsule, this is something that can reconnect with new audiences.